Well, it's almost new moon week, and we're coming up on day 162 of absolutely no clear skies, and I'm sick of it.
Might as well drink some gin and set the television on fire.
Not this time. My friend Alana and I have been talking. She wants to go out west, see the desert, maybe the Grand Canyon, and I've been wanting to go to this place called the Valley of Dreams and maybe get a Milky Way nightscape out there. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pack up, head out of here, and I want you to come with us. So join us in today's episode of Walt Eats a Tomato. This is a star tracker. This is what I use to photograph the Milky Way and other deep space objects. What it does is it basically rotates my camera with the motion of the stars so I can take very long exposures. Do you need one of these to shoot Milky Way? Absolutely not. The way they work is basically you have to polar align this. You have to have it facing north if you're in the northern hemisphere. Look through your polar scope. There's a little target on the inside and you have to align the North Star right in that target. Make sure this thing is balanced. As you can see, it is not. I'll adjust the counterweight. There we go. Then you aim your camera in the direction you want to shoot. Make sure you have some kind of remote plugged into your camera so you don't have to touch your camera when taking images. Turn the star tracker on, and now you're ready to shoot 1, 2, 3 minute exposures or longer. So one problem with using star trackers to do Milky Way nightscapes is that the stars might look nice and clear, but the ground is going to be blurry because this thing is rotating. The most common way around that is to shoot your foreground separately, and a lot of us like to do that at blue hour right after the sun goes down behind the horizon. That allows enough light to actually see the foreground, and there's no shadows or anything like that. Looks kind of cool, looks like it should be at nighttime. I typically like to shoot my foreground and my stars from the same spot so I won't be faking it, but sometimes on these camping trips, that's just not possible because once the sun goes down, you gotta get the hell out of there as fast as possible and get back to your campsite. So quite often on these camping trips, I'll go to a cool destination, shoot my foreground, and then when the sun goes down and gets dark, I have to get home as fast as possible. Otherwise, I like to do everything all in the same spot. One technique to make sure that you're lighting up your foreground with the Milky Way is to use an app called PhotoPills. It'll use an augmented reality overlay over your phone's camera to show you where the Milky Way is going to be at a certain time. That way you can go ahead and get your shot lined up during the daytime. So this is basically all of the astrophotography gear I like to take out to the desert with me. I like to travel light. Start with my Canon 6D full frame Canon camera with the Tamron 24-70 lens. This is a great all-around travel lens, and at constant f2.8, it does really well with Milky Way as well. Now, on the bottom, I like to keep this long Arca Swiss plate that helps me mount it to my star tracker for more accurate balance. This is the tripod I'll be using to put my star tracker on. I've got the counterweight kit and the star tracker itself. I've got my intervalometer remote used for taking multiple exposures and long exposures. And finally, I'm taking this little Canon T5i that's astro modified to pick up more light in the red spectrum, just in case I want to do some deep sky astrophotography while I'm out there. Of course, I've got plenty of backup batteries for everything, and my camping gear is still ready to go for my last trip out to the desert. So, that's it. All right, let's get back out to the desert and find some clear skies.
Wait. The duck stays here.
Well, we finally made it to I have no idea New Mexico. As you can see, there's not a whole lot out there. It's just a lot of fields, plateaus, and some horses. We had to drive at least 10 miles, which took 30 minutes down a gravel road to get here. And I think we're about 40 miles from the nearest civilization. There's not a lot out here, so we're gonna go a few more miles down the road and try to find this place called the Valley of Dreams. There's supposed to be some really cool rock formations there, so we're gonna go ahead, get in the car, and head out. We started our journey by driving an additional 4 miles down the gravel road while being chased by the wild Mustangs of the New Mexico desert. We then turned onto a solid dirt road and drove an additional mile until we got to what Google Maps called the Valley of Dreams trailhead, which in all reality was not a trailhead, just a place in the middle of the desert where you can park your car. We then had to walk several miles through open desert on no trails, no paths, no roads. I did eventually see some human footprints mixed in with the wild horse footprints that let me know that I was not the only person to ever come out here and I might be on the right path. Once we got to a top of a hill, I could start to see down into a valley and see some very interesting rock formations off in the distance. The closer we got to those formations, the more interesting the scenery started to look. Even though it was only about 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening, it was still insanely hot and we had to constantly drink water or Gatorade to feel hydrated, and that still did not do the job. After about 30 minutes or so into our hike, we finally reached this wonderful, beautiful formation of rocks that is the beginning of the Valley of Dreams. All the rocks started to take on a mushroom-like appearance. This formation right here is called the Three Wise Men because 3 distinct rock pillars. About a half mile northwest of here was an even bigger area full of all kinds of bizarre rock formations, including one called Alien Throne, and that's what I really wanted to photograph. You can see all the rock formations up ahead from this viewpoint right here. We actually managed to walk all the way up to it, but then Alana saw a strange 4-legged animal running around that she couldn't identify, and that kind of gave us the creeps because we were about to be there in the dark. I never could find the Alien Throne, so we just decided it was best to turn around and start walking back slowly. So we spent the last hour looking for this structure called Alien Throne, and it's almost dark at this point. We couldn't find it, so I decided to kind of head back a little bit and try something different. So I'm gonna go ahead and get set up for that. Already got my tripod set up. I'm gonna put the star tracker on there. Yeah, it's getting dark quick. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the shot that I've chosen for my foreground. Here is the shot that I'm trying to frame up. That's the south right over there. So that's where the Milky Way will be. And I kind of like this as a foreground. Here are my camera settings. Shutter speed of 1/60th of a second right now. Aperture 8.0, ISO 400. And let's see what it looks like. There we go. That's about the brightness it really is outside right now. Got a 2-second timer on, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this photograph. Of course, I'm gonna do this after I focus. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? Very excellent. I'm just going to take a few more of those. Okay, it has been a batshit insane night. I'll have to tell you about it in the morning. For now, let's go ahead and shoot the Milky Way. Here's my camera settings. Shutter speeds in bulb mode, aperture f/4.0, ISO 800. I'm gonna set my intervalometer to take a 3-minute exposure. Let's look at a test shot. Oh my God, that is gorgeous. It is so dark out here. You don't really see any light pollution on that horizon. Just look at it. Just look at it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set my intervalometer to take 20 photographs. And then I'm gonna go to bed. Just kidding. Now that the photos are done, I'm gonna take dark frames. I'm gonna put the lens cap back on my camera, keep all the camera settings the same. These will be stacked together with my light frames in Sequitur to create one good, clean, noise-free image. I'll program the intervalometer to take about 10 of these, and now I'm really going to go to bed. Good night. Well, good morning. It has been a very interesting past 12 hours. Let me just start by last night. I was going to move the camera and start shooting my Milky Way background, but we decided it was going to be kind of late, and we had to walk through the desert at night without a trail markers, or anything. So we decided to pack up and shoot the Milky Way from our campsite. We only had the bit of glow on the western horizon from the sunset and our GPS to guide us back to the car. And so we just set out. It took us about 45 minutes. And when we got to where our car was supposed to be, according to the GPS, it was not there. Nowhere to be seen. It was almost pitch black dark at this point. We were just walking up and down the little dirt road, and our car is absolutely nowhere. We went by the little outcrop where our car was supposed to be. Nothing. And after a while, we pretty much freaked out because we were out alone in the middle of the desert in the middle of the night. And we called law enforcement, and they sent some state troopers our way. But I don't like to give up, so I've started exploring the area with a little flashlight, and eventually I kind of walked about a quarter of a mile down and down a hill. Sure enough, I saw a little glint of something in the distance, and it turned out to be our car farther down the hill. Our GPS had screwed us up, got us in all kinds of trouble, but we found it. It was a miracle because, man, standing in the pitch black darkness, hearing horses making grunt noises all around you is one of the freakiest things I've ever heard. Would you ever camp there again?
Am I glad I did it? Yes. Will I do it again? Probably not.
So we did make it back to the campsite, set up my stuff, and got the Milky Way just like I liked it. But then the next morning, we awoke to a Native American man and his granddaughter, and they were lost, looking for the Valley of Dreams. It was so ironic because we had just gotten lost there last night. But anyway, we gave them directions there the best we could, and he warned us to be careful in this area because this is skinwalker country, and he proceeded to tell us some pretty scary stories. He said he was from the mountain just over there in the distance, and he's been trying to get to Valley of Dreams for years, so we were glad we could help him. But man, he really kind of freaked us out with those skinwalker stories. But yeah, all is well. Now we're gonna get out of here. I can't wait for you to see where we're going next. See you there. That is the most annoying plane. That was the sound of an elk. Hear that? That's an elk. That's a freaking elk. Oh boy, we're finally here. Are you ready for this? I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Well, we spent the day exploring the park, and now it's getting close to time for sunset. It's time to get to business. So apparently there's one spot around here that might actually face south towards the Milky Way, and the only way to access it is through the shuttle. We can't even drive there, so we're about to go walk to the shuttle and see if we can get a ride there, and hopefully we'll see you there. All right, so it's sunset. I got here to this Yaqui Point place where I thought I could be able to see the Milky Way in the south and also a great view of the Grand Canyon. And the reason I thought that was because I saw a postcard in the gift shop and it showed Yaqui Point, a great view, and the Milky Way in the background. I'm disappointed because it turns out that was very fake. That viewpoint that I saw on that postcard was north, And the Milky Way is totally in the south. That was completely faked. Shame on you. Okay, I know I like to blend foregrounds and backgrounds, yes, but I do at least like for some reality to be there. I like for the Milky Way to be in the same spot that I took my foreground. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the app Photo Pills, and I'm gonna show you where the Milky Way is actually going to be, because there actually is a point here where I can see the Grand Canyon and the south. It's just not the magnificent view that I was wanting. So this is the Photo Pills app, and what it does, it kind of gives you an overlay of where the sky and the Milky Way, the stars are going to be in augmented reality over your camera. So what I can do is fast forward in time till about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. What I can see is there's no Milky Way that way. It's actually over here. And as we get later in the night, it'll be over here. This is the area of the Grand Canyon I wanted to photograph. And this is the area where the Milky Way was actually going to be in. In the end, it was starting to look really hazy and a bit cloudy, so I just don't think it was in the cards for us to shoot the Milky Way from the Grand Canyon that night. And here we are, again, out in the middle of nowhere, and it's getting dark. It's just us, completely alone with the animals. Alana's never gonna wanna travel with me again. Hopefully the bus is gonna show up soon. So what you just saw was a huge meteorite crater. It's over 600 feet deep and almost a half-mile wide. It's huge. It's the most well-preserved meteor crater on Earth. Very fun. And we saw that because we're now on our way home. Last night, the Milky Way photographing didn't really go so well. I don't know if I'm gonna get anything out of the Grand Canyon shots. Lesson learned, if you wanna film the Milky Way at the Grand Canyon, you go to the North Rim. I mean, I already kind of thought about that, but we went to the South Rim because it was more convenient. It was a lot closer. But yeah, the North Rim is much better. I don't know, we'll see when we get home. But mostly, Alana and I, when we got back to our campsite last night, we just sat around with our phones shooting the Milky Way above the trees. And I'm making a separate video that might have already come out by now, but about how to shoot the Milky Way with your phone. All right, I'm gonna go home, check out the data, and we'll say goodbye from there. All right, everybody, made it home safe. The Grand Canyon pictures did not turn out very well at all, but the Valley of Dreams did, and I can't wait to show you. But before I let you go, I just want to say to anybody who's thinking about going out to the desert and getting off the path and just walking into the wild desert looking for things to photograph, please be careful, bring lots of water, and prepare to get lost. Like, it's a very large possibility it could happen. It all looks the same out there. This is one situation where it's definitely okay to take your foreground and then try to get back to your campsite at night, because you do not want to be lost out there with all those wild animals and unidentified four-legged creature things. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to support me in these crazy adventures and just other astrophotography stuff, give me a super like. It really helps me out. And if you want more stuff like this, please subscribe. All right, stay spacey. Clear skies. See you next time.